Hello, my name's Clive Groves. My family's been growing since my great-great-grandfather started the business in 1866. Today I'd like to tell you about how to grow tomato plants. Now, to start off with, you have to decide whether you want determinate or indeterminate, and by that I'll show you roughly what determinate and indeterminate is. Determinate is when you have more or less a bush tomato. I've got one over here, and you can see there they start to fruit, and they fruit sort of practically all together, and so you get them more or less at the same time, slight variation obviously. Now, an indeterminate tomato is what we have here, where you train it up it's almost like a vine, and you grow them up, and then you get different trusses right the way through the season. You see them coming through. Now, it's good so you get plenty of air movement in the greenhouse, just to take some of the lower leaves off. You'll see they go a bit yellow, and gradually take them off. So you've got quite a bit of movement around the plants, because they want air, otherwise they get botrytis or mould. And you need sunshine to try and get a bit of sugar into the tomato to make it sweeter. Now, another trick I use when they're particularly young is I don't want to take off too much leaf all at once, so I just take off some of the leaf, just the ends of the leaves. And then you can see you'll get that air movement all the way around. And you'll also need to take out, because in each of these leaf axils you'll see shoots, you need to take those out. Either break them off if you can, like that. This one's been left a little too long, so you'll need to just take that one out with your knife. But be sure to take these out as they grow, and then you'll get this vine type. So let's call the indeterminate the vine type, and let's call the determinate, let's call that a bush one. Okay, well, if you'd like to follow me into the greenhouse, we'll try and learn a little bit more. Okay, and here, as you see, my greenhouse is this is my own house greenhouse, and a bit of a jungle. I like to grow fruits. There's Cape gooseberries here. Unusually, I've got a double one here, but they taste really nice. And also, I like to grow these vines. It's an old-fashioned type called Black Hamburg, and they're fun to grow, and they're good for you. And also we grow cucumbers. Now, they say that to grow cucumbers and tomatoes in the same house you shouldn't do. Well, partly that is correct, because a cucumber is like a very hot, humid sort of situation, but tomatoes would prefer a drier situation and more sun. So we can't have the ideal for both, but if you just want to grow a few cucumbers amongst your tomatoes, then there's no harm. You wouldn't be able to do it commercially. Right, let's have a look. You've got a choice. I showed you just now a tomato, and that was grown in a pot. You need to use a 9-inch pot, or at least a 10-litre pot. Your other choice, of course, is to grow them in grow bags. Generally grow 3 in a grow bag. And you see it's pretty dense with tomatoes here, so this is why it's important to take these leaves off and to half the leaves as they grow. Even more important if you want to grow a lot together. Now, in grow bags it's rather hard to water them, and so I make the 3 holes, put 3 tomatoes in each, and I put one of these old milk containers in, and I just loosen the bottom of the container, so that when I water it, the water can sort of drip through into the grow bag slowly, and thereby sort of making the whole of the tomato bag wet. Now, you need to feed them, and you need to feed them when they're younger. When they start to set their first truss, then you need to just feed them about once a week. But when we get through to sort of established vines like this, well, I like to water them sort of twice a week, or feed them twice a week. You may need to water them every day but it purely depends whether the sun shines or whether it's dull, so that's for your own judgment. For fertiliser, I like to sort of keep things sort of fairly simple, and we actually produce this ourselves here. It says Groves' own homemade comfrey manure. Now comfrey is very high in potash, and tomatoes need potash to set the tomatoes and to feed the tomatoes. You can buy this, incidentally we do sell it on the internet. Now to go into a watering can about this sort of size, you need about half a cup, half to 3/4 of a cup, and we pour that in, and make sure you stir it, because otherwise it would tend to go down the bottom to start with. And then we literally need to get hold of this and fill each of these pretty much to the top. And if you fill that to the top, then that should spread through the grow bag and feed all of the tomatoes. This tomato is quite a unique one, I think. It's an old heirloom variety, and I saved the seed of it from, I think it originated from Guernsey, or these particular tomatoes did anyway. I've tried to look it up on the internet, and I can't seem to find it, so but we will be producing some plants of these next season. That's in spring 2012, so if you want to give it a go, the good thing about this one I find is that they don't split. Some of the tomatoes, if you don't get the watering exactly right, the skins are very thin and they will split, whereas these will hold. I haven't had one split one, and they also fry up rather nicely, and they literally take their sort of outer skin off and you're left with quite a nice fleshy fruit. So worth looking out for. The nearest thing I could find on the internet was mammoth, but I can't understand that because this is a plum cherry type, so mammoth doesn't convey the right name. Okay, well, I hope I've allowed you to learn a little bit more about growing tomatoes, and good luck next season. Thank you very much.